This conference will now be recorded.
चतुर्मुखसमारम्भम् वाग्भटाचार्यमध्यमम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रागादिरोगान् सततानुषक्तान् शेषकाय प्रसृतान् शेषान् औत्सुक्यमोहारदिदान् जघान यो पूर्ववैद्याय नमोऽस्तु तस्मै। So we were talking about the samana and vishesha. So we will see how we can move forward. I think we have not completed it. We will just revise what we were discussing about. Couple of shlokas from Charaka we were discussing. What we were talking about was vriddhi samanai sarvesham viparitair viparyayah. Then we saw that viparyaya, samana and viparyaya, and one specific shloka which shows that this samanata and viparyayata is related to dravya, guna and kriya. Sarvesham sarvada vriddhihi tulya dravya guna kriyaihi bhavaihi bhavati bhavanam viparitair viparyayah. Then only we saw the Charaka shlokas. Sarvada sarvabhavanam samanyam vriddhi karanam ह्रासहेतुर् विशेषश्च प्रवृत्तिरुभयस्य तु सामान्यम् एकत्वकरं विशेषस्तु पृथक्त्वकृत्. That we saw next. सामान्यम् एकत्वकरं विशेषस्तु पृथक्त्वकृत्. तुल्यार्थदा हि सामान्यं, तुल्यार्थदा हि सामान्यं विशेषस्तु विपर्ययः. This is also very important, and we saw the concept in a nutshell as quoted by Vagbhata in Sangraha. Dhadavaha khalu shariraha samanaihi samanaguna bhuishtaihi va ahara viharaihi abhyasyamanaihi vruddhimapnuvanti hrasam tu viparidaihi viparidaguna bhuishtaihi va. Establishing this concept is our purpose. As we told earlier, now we are connecting the Bahya Prapancha with the Anta Prapancha. How the Bahiranga Hetus are going to influence the Antaranga Hetus. Antaranga Hetus, in a nutshell, are the Upadana Karanas of Sharira. They are Dosha, Dhadu, Mala. So how the Bahiranga Hetus, solely represented by Dravya. Of course, there are many things could be, but precisely represented by Dravya is going to influence the Antaranga Hetus. And this statement, Dhadavaha khalu shariraha samanaihi samanaguna bhuishtaihi va ahara viharaihi abhyasyamanaihi vruddhim apnuvanti rasam tu viparidaihi viparidaguna bhuishtaihi va, is the application plane of that samanya vishesha concept, samanya vishesha siddhantam. We can find very detailed descriptions or debates or discussions on these concepts in the darshanas, especially in the Vaisheshika Darshana. And in Ayurveda, it is taken up by Rasa Vaisheshikam, a text called Rasa Vaisheshikam, which is an essential work, Bhadanda Nagarjuna, which is an essential work to be taken up by all those who are planning to look into the finer details of the basic principles of Ayurveda. So we were talking about these points in the last class. Now, we have to find some point of entry. We have to find some point of entry to apply this concept into our real life. So we are going to take one principle after the other. And the first one we are going to introduce here is rasa. So when we are going to use dravyas either in the form of ahara or aushadha, rasa is going to be the primary, if not the most important, the primary tool of assessment. So we are going to start with the rasa. So that Tantra Vyavaharartham, he is introducing the term rasa. Rasa is used in different contexts with a different meaning. Here we are seeing Shadrasa. We have rasa as Parada. We have rasa as Swarasa. We have rasa as Navarasa. Many other things could be there. Mamsa rasa. So here rasaha swadu amla lavana tiktoshana kashayakaha shad. That is our point of interest. Rasaha swadu amla lavana tiktoshana kashayakaha shad. Shad rasaha. Dravyamashritah te cha yathapurvam balavaha. Dravyamashritah te cha. Te cha dravyam ashritah. Swadu lavana, swadu amla lavana tiktoshana kashayakaha shadrasaha dravyamashritah. Then next statement is te cha yathapurvam balavaha cha bhavanti. Te cha yathapurvam balavaha bhavanti. So multiple statements. Number one, there are only 6 rasas. Shad rasaha. So there may be concepts which tries to establish that the number may be different. 1 rasa, 2 rasa, 3 rasa, innumerable rasa, asanghyatvad. But in this text, according to my school of understanding, Shad rasa, that is the first statement. Second statement is these 6 tastes are dravyashritaah. Dravyashritaah. Again, there is no question about it. They are dravyashritaah. So when we say that this is dravyashrita, it is an indirect statement that this is guna. This is a guna. Rasa is a guna. Then there is a chronology. There is a way of presenting them. There is a sequence. And that sequence is based on their capacity to give strength. Yatha purvam balavaha. So with a twist, with a small twist, a link is established. That is quite interesting. By making a twist in the way of explaining, that means we were talking about Bahya Dravya Prapancham. And we saw that it has 6 tastes. Shad Rasaha. Te Dravyashraya Ashrita. They are situated in Dravya. Whatever Dravya, Karya Dravyas we are going to see outside, they accommodate these rasas. But with the final twist, Yatha Purvam Balavaha means they are connected to the Sharira. They provide the Sharira with strength. That is how they are connected. And one more point, all are supposed to provide the body with the strength, fine. The one more statement is that there is a difference in the capacity of the 6 rasas in giving strength. There is a difference. Yatha purvam balavaha. Yatha purvam balavaha. Yatha purvam balavaha. Balavaha. Balam avahati. Iti balavaha. Balam vardhayati. Abhimukhena vahati. Balavaha. Yatha purvam. Yatha purvam. Purvam purva. First one is having the most appreciable capacity to give strength. So that is the logic of this chronology. I have arranged the 6 rasas in such a way that the first one will provide the body with the maximum strength. Next, a bit inferior. Third, still a bit inferior. Fourth, again down. Fifth, again down. Sixth, the least. So practically, for practical purposes, this is the arrangement of rasas on a scale from top to bottom, where the topmost one is supposed to give you the maximum strength, and at one point it touches some sort of a neutrality, then downwards it gives less and less strength, means they will start grabbing your strength slowly. So on the scale, the topmost one will be giving you with the maximum strength, then it slowly comes down, and when you reaches the bottom, the most lowest, the bottommost level of the scale, it will be something which will be grabbing your strength. It is some sort of a representation of duals on the same scale, like light and darkness, Shidam and Ushnam, Snigdham and Ruksham, the same technique. So there is a logic behind this chronology. Balam avahati, balam vardhayati, balavaha. So if, as per the logic what we were discussing so far, vriddhi samanaihi sarvesham, if one particular rasa is supposed to do the vardhana of Sharira Bala, there should be a samana or samanyam between that particular rasa and Sharira Bala. That particular rasa and Sharira Bala. And now we can connect them. Sharira Bala is a bhava, maybe a guna. Rasa is a guna. Sharira Bala, that guna is residing on Sharira, a dravya. Rasa is a guna which is residing on a dravya, maybe ahara. So one dravya which is outside and one dravya which is inside, or the core stuff, they are connected with the concept of rasa and its capacity to increase bala. So there is a samanya. If on the topmost level it is the highest, the samanya is the highest. And on the bottommost level, if it start grabbing the strength, there is a viparya, viparita. Sharira bala and that particular rasa, or sharira and that particular dravya which carries that rasa are viparitas. And now these concepts are connected in terms of Panchabhutas. The element, the principle which provides the body with strength, and the element or principle which provides the dravya with that rasa which increases the bala the most are similar. Here it is swadu on the topmost end and kashaya on the bottommost end. So swadu that way gives the maximum strength and kashaya reduces the strength, or in other terms it gives the minimum strength. And the connection between these two aspects is there, the permutations and combinations in which the bhutas are used in the formation of these rasas, which we will be discussing in detail with another chapter called Dravyadi Vijnaniyam and also Rasabhediyam. Dravyadi Vijnaniyam and Rasabhediyam. So this is an application plane where Vriddhi Samanai Sarvesham Viparidaya Viparyaya, that concept is used in the most beautiful way. When you look at this equation, we find that there is a connection between Sharira and Dravya in terms of Panchabhutas. And this is taken to the next level in the next sloka, that is in terms of doshas. The sloka tells us Tatradhyaha marudam ghnandi trayastiktaadaya kabham kashaya pikta madhuraha pittam. Tatradhyaha marudam ghnandi trayastiktaadaya kabham kashaya tikta madhuraha pittam. Tatra adyaha trayah rasaha marudam ghnandi. So first three rasas reduces, kills, literally it kills. What we will take it as reduces, pacifies. Marudam. So that is an explanation, a representation of Viparita gunas. Three first rasas and Vayu, the dosha, are opposites. Swadu Amla Lavana. Samanada can be between either dravyas or gunas. Here dosha is not guna, it is dravya. So when you say that the first three rasas, you have to understand it as those rasa, those dravyas which contain these three rasas has got the capacity to pacify Vayu, the dravya. Tiktadayaha trayaha kabham ghanandi. Same. Tiktadayaha trayaha, the dravya which contain, or dravyas which contain these three rasas are opposite, viparita, vishesha to kabha. Kashaya tikta madhuraha pittam khanti. Kashaya tikta madhuraha. The dravyas which carry these three rasas reduces pittam, the dravyam. So there could be a similarity and dissimilarity between the rasas, indirectly that dravyas, and the bodily dravyas called doshas. Anyetu kurvate. Anyetu kurvate. So in the case of Vayu, the last three rasas. In the case of Kabha, the first three rasas. In the case of Pittam, it is Amla, Lavana, Kadu. Amla, Lavana, Kadu. They kurvate, increases. Kopanam karoti. Vardhanam karoti. So with this, he is trying to establish the that Samanya Vishesha Siddhanta in a practical level, and also to connect the Bahiranga Nidanas with the Antaranga Nidanas. There may be many interesting things connected to these ideas, which may be worked upon in detail, maybe in a few lessons even. Because we can presume that wherever Vayu increases, obviously there should be a decrease in Madhuryam. So there may be many interesting points. So when Vayu increases, the Madhurya of one Dravya, that name of the Dravya is Sharira, decreases. The Madhurya of the Sharira decreases. When Vayu increases, all the other rasas concerned will be showing a decrease. But these will not be simultaneous. There could be grading. Swadu, Amla and Lavana are rasas which pacify Vayu. So whenever Vayu increases, these three rasas decrease, but that is not spontaneous, I mean simultaneous, not spontaneous, but not simultaneous. So which rasa is down? Which rasa is going to be down next? And which rasa is going to be down as the third? These sort of observations may be helpful in applying precise tools in terms of rasas in situations of Vadavritti. When we learn more about the concepts called Vipaka, Trividha Vipaka, and its other possibilities, I think we may be getting a better idea about what I am trying to express right now. Anyway, we will move forward. Similarly, somebody who is having a Vishamagni, which is because of Vadakopa, what is going to happen in terms of the rasas of the body? This rasas of the body, whether they can be appreciated as such, or is there a twist? That is the story behind the concept of Vipaka. How these rasas and doshas are going to be connected in the dravya called Sharira is the core theme behind the concept of Vipaka. We will come to it later. Similarly, when through a day, Vayoho Ratri Bhuktanam Tenda Madhyadigaha. So how the rasa chronology of a day changes. Similarly, the rasa chronology of a night, how does it change? The rasa chronology of Ayus, how it change? All these things could be quite insightful. Thinking about all these ideas could be quite insightful. Those who are interested can explore, do some sort of a samiksha into it. Fine. We will move to the next sloka. Shamanam kopanam swasthahidam dravyamidi trutha. Shamanam kopanam swasthahidam dravyamidi trutha. This is quite a puzzling sloka. Everyone have gone through this sloka maybe 100 times or even more. But I do not know how many of us have got the crux of this sloka to the core. Why such a sloka here? Because we were trying to elaborate something else. We just started with the different properties of dravya, and we started the session with the rasa and how the rasa is connected with the dosha. Fine. All of a sudden, we find some sort of a classification of dravyas. Shamanam, kopanam, swasthahitam iti dravyam trutha. We have to understand this is an odd statement here. Looks like. It is not odd, we will find it. It looks like an odd statement. First of all, we will see the words what he has introduced, Acharya has introduced. Shamanam. Shamanam. Shama comes from the shama dhatu, which means to reduce, to control, or to pacify. Shamanam. So shamanam is something which can reduce or which can pacify, make shandam. Pacify means make shandam. Then something which can control. Basically, the target of all these activities is dosha. So something which can reduce the doshas need not be together. Something which can pacify doshas, something which can control doshas, that category, that group of dravyas is known as shamana dravya. Shamanam. So when we classify the dravya to shamana, we are classifying the bahiranga hetus, one part of the bahiranga hetus, to a particular subtype called shamana dravyas. Next is kopanam. Kopanam, kupa, kopam, anger, fury. Something that actually kopam represents that emotional status which make you angry and which makes your eyes red. That is kopam. Something which makes your eyes red with anger. So here one category of dravyas is known as kopanam. So kopana dravyas are those dravyas, those class of dravyas which can make the eyes of doshas red with anger, with fury. They are having the potential to make such a stimulation, such a provocation, prakopanam, to the doshas. That is a state of increase. That is a state of running out of control. Earlier, We were talking about decreasing, pacifying, or controlling. Here it is increasing and running out of control. Furious. Generally, dosha, dhatu, mala, they have a relationship which is famously known as ashraya, ashrayi relation. Doshas are atisukshma dravyas. They are ashrayis. Dhatu malas provide the ashrayam. And in normal course, they operate together. They operate together. They complement. They cooperate. They are the upadana karanas of the sharira so as to ensure its existence, sustainable. But when the doshas are influenced by bahiranga nidanas and they show an increase, and that increase goes beyond some level, they start attacking the seats where they were operating. That means the ashrayas. So practically, the dhadumala system become disturbed by the kupita doshas. So any dravya which is having that capacity to induce vruddhi to the dosha, that is not enough, but transfer that kopa, that vruddhi, to the levels of dhatu and mala, they are known as prakopana dravyas, kopana dravyas, shamanam, kopanam. And the third category given is swasthahitam. Swasthahitam. Swasthahitam is something which maintains that relation between dosha, dhatu, and mala in the most sustainable way. Doshas operate, dhadus operate, malas operate. They complement with one another. They cooperate with one another. There is no disturbance. The system runs properly. So such dravyas which provides the energy, the fuel to maintain such a system undisturbed, they are known as swasthahitam. Kinjit dosha prashamanam, kinjit dhadu pradushanam, swasthavritte hitam kinjit. That is the way in which Acharya Charaka explains this concept. Kinjit dosha prashamanam, kinjit dhadu pradushanam, swasthavritte hitam kinjit. Trividham dravyam. There are many discussions on this point. What is meant really with this description? Shamanam is something which is pacifying. So why don't we use Shamana dravyas as swasthahita dravyas? Prakopanam or kopanam. Why the word vardhanam was not used? That was more representative in nature. Why should he specify it as kopanam? So there are many questions about this. Shamana dravyas can pacify the doshas, no doubt. And that word is more limited to doshas, not much connected with the dhatu and mala. We never use that words connected with the dhatu and mala. Rasa prashamanam, rakta prashamanam, mamsa prashamanam, we never use it. It is more connected with the doshas. Yes, it can reduce the dosha from the state of vruddhi, but it is not swasthahitam. because on continuous use, that will either reduce the dosha beyond the samasthiti, or it will start increasing another dosha. Draksha is pitta shamanam. So in increased state of pitta, you start using draksha. It is pitta shamanam. So it pacifies, it reduces, it controls the pitta and slowly brings down to one normal limit. Fine. But you use it continuously again and again, uncontrolled, then it will either start increasing the kapha or start reducing the pitta further. As the medicine is smart enough and the body is smart enough, there may be some variations, but this is the situation. Shamanam. When you use the word shamanam, that is a problem. Kopanam, vada kopanam, pitta kopanam. The same way we may use it is rakta prakopanam. Dahadu pradushanam, that is the word used by Charaka. So those drugs, those dravyas which are having the capacity to transfer the dosha vriddhi to the dhadus or the ashrayas, they are specifically included in this. So there is one way of explaining this shamanam and kopanam, as shamanam is supposed to be the aushadhas and kopanam is supposed to be the vishas, and swasthahidam is supposed to be the bhakshanam, annam. So there are some scholars who explain these three terms such a way. Shamanam is aushadham, kopanam is visham, and swasthahidam is annam. That is one way of seeing it. Hemadri makes a very different comment on this. Hemadri tries to explain this as Shamanam, Kopanam and Swasthahidam are three types of prabhavam. Dravya prabhavam. Is that comment of Hemadri making any sense? That is an important point of discussion. I would say yes, to a good extent. It makes sense for many reasons. One reason is, even though we have not studied what the prabhava is, once we study Dravyadi Vijnaniyam and understand what prabhava is, we can see that in this chapter Dravyadi Ayush Kamiyam, all the other attributes of a dravya is explained by name, but except prabhava. So obviously it is quite logical to expect that prabhava will not be omitted from Ayush Kamiyam. Definitely it will be included, but we do not see any specific space in the chapter Ayush Kamiyam where prabhava is mentioned by name, not explained. Nothing is explained in Ayush Kamiyam, but mentioned by name. So Hemadri's point that this is where prabhava is mentioned sounds good. But how can we understand that this is prabhava? Prabhava means that property of a dravya which outsmarts all other properties. Which outsmarts all other properties. So we were starting with rasa, which is supposed to be the base level assessment, the primary assessment, the entry point into the Dravya. And many things can be inferred from the idea of rasa. Even the Panchabhautik configuration of a Dravya is primarily assessed, evaluated, and inferred using its rasa. It is quite obvious that the Dravya need not work as decided by the Dravya. There are many other influential or contributory factors of which Prabhava outsmarts everything else. So Prabhava tops the list, whereas rasa is the first one in the list. So these two slokas, Shad rasas and their influence on the doshas, one part, and this Shamanam Kopanam Swasthahidam Dravyamiditruta, these two sections can be interpreted as the two levels of extremes of understanding a Dravya. With rasa, you are getting the baseline primary entry level assessment, and with Prabhava, you are going to get what the real thing the Dravya is going to deliver. Everything else comes in between these 2 points, between rasa and Prabhava. So by placing this shloka, which could be representing Prabhava, just immediately after the mentioning of rasa is quite sensible that way, because whatever I'm going to explain later, next, like virya, vipaga, and guna, can be those attributes which can be placed in between these two, that means rasa and Prabhava. That way also, Hemadri's comment that Shamanam Kopanam Swasthahidam represents Prabhava is logical, is sensible. So Shamanam Kopanam Swasthahidam ultimately or basically shows the way in which one Dravya is going to work on the body in terms of its Upadana Karanas. Actually, this line has got many extensions possible. The very idea of Chayam and Prakopam should be understood in this concept. Only that Prakopam is mentioned here. Dhadu Pradushanam, the capacity to bring about Dhadu Pradushanam, that is only included here. Whereas that Shamanam can be seen, as I told earlier, when used indiscriminately, even a swing to the other end, that means the Chaya, when used indiscriminately, beyond certain levels. So even the concept of Chaya and Prakopa can be better understood in the light of this Prabhava of the Dravyas, Shamanam, Kopanam, Swasthahidam, Dravyamidi, Trutha. Now, after placing these two things, the rasa and the Prabhava, we will be seeing the rest of the stuff, whatever is to be understood regarding the Dravya. So next we come to that. Ushnashida Gunotkarshad Tatra Vidyam Dvitha Smritam. Ushnashida Gunotkarshad Tatra Vidyam Dvitha Smritam. So he is introducing another technical term, Vidyam. Vidyam is Shakti Utkarsham. Shakti Utkarsham or Shakti. Utkarsha is the word used. Ushnashida Guna Utkarshad. So it is Gunotkarsham. Basically, Ushna and Sita comes under the category of Guna, but they are not simply Gunas. They have got Utkarshata, Shakti Utkarshata. So they are classified as a different category called Virya. I think we need not discuss a lot about the Virya at this point because they will be discussed in detail in Dravya Vijnaniya. Here it is a statement, but a properly placed statement. That is why we need not discuss a lot. Whereas the previous sloka was seemingly an odd one, but we have to understand why it is there. That is why we went to the details. Here, Ushna Shida Gunotkarshad Tatra Vidyam. Vidyam Shakti. Dvidhasmrita. Karma Karana Shakti. We find it later. Na Vidyam Kurude Kinjid. Charagastvaha Vidyam Tad Kriyade Yena Ya Kriya. Na Vidyam Kurude Kinjid Sarva Vidya Krita. We will come to it later in that chapter. So, the point is Gunam, Gunotkarsham, Vidyam. Ushna, Shida. Ushna, Shida, Guna, Utkarshad, Tatra, Vidyam, Dvidhasmrita. The words are very specific, glittering words. Fine. So, Ushna, Shida, Gunotkarshad, Tatra, Vidyam, Dvidhasmritam. Then we go to Tridha Vipago Dravyasya. Tridha Vipago Dravyasya Swadu Amla Kadugatmakaha. Tridha Vipago Dravyasya Swadu Amla Kadugatmakaha. Vipakam. Another word is introduced. Another term is introduced. Vipakam. Pakam. Pakam is Parinamam. There is another explanation for Pakam. Vijadiya Teja Samyogaha. Vishishtaha Pakaha. Vipakam. Vishishtam Pakam. Vishishtata shows, as we saw earlier, that Prithaktvakrit. It is Vishesham. So it is not ordinary Pakam. There are many ordinary Pakams, but this is Vishishtam. Something is unique, something particular. And that Pakam is explained by the same words, same terms of rasas. Dravyasya Tridha Vipakaha. Swadu Amla Kadugatmakaha. The word used is Kadugatmakam. Atmam. Self. Shariram. The basic material. When we say that some ornament is made out of Swarnam, it is Swarnatmakam. Nothing else. It is made with Swarnam. The body is Swarnam. Similarly, here it is Swadu Amla Kadugatmakam. So three vipagas: Swadu Atmakam, Amlatmakam, Kadugatmakam. So at one point of this vipakam, it is becoming Swadu. It is becoming Amlam. It is becoming Kadu. There is no difference. That is the meaning of the word Atmakam. Swadu Amla Kadugatmakam. So what is Swadu? Swadu is a rasa. What is Amlam? Amlam is a rasa. What is Kadu? Kadu is a rasa. Then what is Vipagam? This is Swadu Atmakam. This is Kadu Atmakam. This is Amla Atmakam. And this is the Vishishta Pagam. We don't go to the details because we have to see it in Dravya Vijnaniya. But a primary idea, some Uddesha Kathanam is made here, a mentioning is made here. That means when we connect the Bahya Prapancham with the Shariram, the Bahiranga Hedu with the Antaranga Hedu, these factors are going to be influential. One is Rasa, then Prabhava, then Virya, now Vipaka. Trudha vipago dravyasya swadvamla kadukatmakaha. Next is about the gunas. Again, which was mentioned as the last one in that list. There may be specific reasons for that, but I think we will discuss it in the next lesson, because otherwise we will not get time for the our Aushadha Yoga. Discussing about Chiruvilluadi Kashayam. Chiruvilluadi Kashayam. So the yoga means Chiruvillua Punarnava Vanyabhaya Kananagara Saindhava Pakwajalam Gudakila Bhagandara Gulmaharam Jadharagni Vivardhanam Ashunranam. Chiruvillua Punarnava Vanyabhaya Kananagara Saindhava Pakwajalam Gudakila Bhagandara Gulmaharam Jadharagni Vivardhanam Ashu Nrnam. So this is the yogam. So I think every dravyas, aushadhas are familiar. Chiruvilluam, Punarnavam, Vanhi. Vanhi is Chitragam, Abhaya, Kana, Nagara, Saindhava, Pakwajalam. Saindhavam is not used in the Pagam, but it is later added as Prakshepam. So we make the Kashayam with the Chiruvilluam, Punarnavam, Vanhi, Abhaya, Kana and Nagaram. Saindhav will be added as the Prakshepam later. The Bhalashruti given with the yoga is Gudakila Bhagandara Gulmaharam Jadharagni Vivardhanam Ashu Nrnam. So from the explanation, Gudakila Arshoharam, Arshas, Bhagandaram, Gulmam. So Gudakila Bhagandara Gulmaharam Jadharagni Vivardhanam. Jadharagni Vivardhanam. Ashu Jadharagni Vivardhanam. Ashu Gudakila Bhagandara Gulmaharam Nrnam. This is what we find from the yoga. So from the explanation, what we have to understand is yoga can be, as we discussed the other day, yoga can be studied in many ways. Whatever we have explained so far is enough for a standard practitioner. Okay, Chiruvilluadi is good in Gudakilam, Bhagandaram, Gulmam, and it will increase the Jadharagni. That is enough. But this is a very small yoga, only 5 medicines plus 1 prakshepa. So if, and almost all medicines are freely available, there is no much rare drugs in it. So obviously the cost of the medicine will be comparatively less, and only 5 medicine. So even a person who is willing to prepare it at home can make it easily. So there are many advantages. So we should have a better understanding other than whatever is explained in the this Bhalashruti, where it is really applicable, how could be it may some improvisations be made in it. All these ideas we will see. So from the Bhalashruti, it is almost evident that it has Pakvashaya and Grahani as its prime targets. Jadharagni Vivardhanam. So it should have an influence on that sthana. Then Gudakila Bhagandara Gulmam. All these are related with the Vadasthana Pakvashaya. And how we treat a Gudakila. Take a Gudakila as the example here. In Arshoroga Chikitsa, there is a basic concept. Bhitva Vibandhan Anulomanaya Yen Marudasya Agni Balaya Yacha. Bhitva Vibandhan Anulomanaya Yen Marudasya Agni Balaya Yacha. Tadannapan aushadham arshasebhyo sevyam. So a standard preparation, an effective preparation for arshas should have these properties. It should have the bhitva vibandhan, srodashodhanam, especially purishava bandhanam, malapravrttikaram, anulomanaya yan marudasya, marudanulomanam, vadanulomanam property, and yad agnibalaya cha. So all these three things, bhitva vibandhan, anulomanaya yan marudasya, agnibalaya, these three classical or characteristic properties required for an arshohara dravyam is here in Chiruvilluvadi Kashaya. The ingredients all are for that. So that can be extended to many other places. Tatra pakwase kruthaha shulana andrakujanam malarodha asma vardhma arsha triga prishta kadigraha karotya adharakaye cha tam stan kritsranubhadravan. That is the lakshana of pakwase gada vadakopam. Tatra pakwase kruthaha shula anaha andrakujanam malarodha asma vardhma arsha triga prishta kadigraha. So in all these situations, which are secondary to a primary vadakopa in pakwasaya, which are secondary to a primary vadakopa in pakwasaya, Chiruvilluvadi will work. So sometimes a Vaidya can prescribe Chiruvilluvadi in Ashmari, but it is not because of its Ashma Bhedana property, but because of its particular capacity to focus on the Vadakopa in Pakwasaya. And if that Ashmari is not Swatantra Ashmari but Paratantra Ashmari caused by the Pakwasaya Vadakopa, Chiruvilluvadi is going to be the first line of management. No doubt in it. But if it is because of a Swatantra Ashmari, you cannot expect Chiruvilluvadi to work. So that way, Anaham, Vibandham, Trigagraham, Prishtagraham, Kadigraham. These three things are very frequently attended by Vaidyas, especially Kadigraham. The patient may be coming to you low backache with an MRI, fine, with an established evidence of multiple slip discs in the lumbar level, fine. Most often he will be coming to you when surgery is prescribed. Between the scalpel and the operation table, the patient takes a leave for a couple of days and comes to a Vaidya and asks whether you can avoid my surgery or not. So that is the situation. So we run after the same way in which the surgeon was seeing the case, and we will look after what we can do to substitute a surgical intervention. That is not the proper way of looking at it. You have to understand whether this is a Swatantra Kadigraham or Paratantra Kadigraham. If it is a Swatantra Kadigraham, maybe having a history of repetitive stress or a direct trauma, okay, fine, the management line is different. But if it is a Paratantra Kadigraham, with the patient is having a very long standing history of Pakwasegada Vadakopam and no history of trauma at all, I think you have to focus more on the Pakvashegada Vadakopam. Then this treatment, what is suggested as the first line management for Arshas, is going to be your first line of management for Kadigraham. Chiruvilluadi will give you tremendous opening. I don't mean that it is the last word for this multiple slip disc. It is a tremendous opening to the management of that particular low backache, with which you will be able to slowly and consistently move forward for a permanent cure. So that is the importance of understanding Chiruvilluadi Kashayam that way. In the same way, a case of Raktagulmam, a diagnosed case of polycystic ovarian syndrome, a non-case of Krichrarthavam, because all these things are coming under the jurisdiction of Apanavayu. Shroni Medro Uru Gojara, Shuklartava Shagranmutra Garbhanishkramana Kriyaha, Apanaha. All are coming under his purview, his jurisdiction. So Pakvashegada Vadakopam has got its branching to all these things. Vasti Shiro Medra Kadi Vrishana Payavaha Ega Sambandhana Proktaha Gudasthi Vivarashraya. So if Vayu is the prime character in that area, Apanavayu is the specific one. Apanavayugunya is the basic cause for Vadakopa in most of the other parts. Udavarta is the standard manifestation. Chiruvilluadi is going to help. Chiruvilluadi is going to help. Please go through the wide spectrum of disorders which are explained under the category of Udavartam, especially in Ashtanga Hridaya, in Vagbhada text. Udavarta makes a very big spectrum of presentation. If your time permits, I will just read out. Tena tivra ruja koshta prishta hritparshvaga bhaved adhvanam udaraveshto hrillasa parikartanam vastaucha sudaram shulam gandashvayadhu sambhavaha, which may be diagnosed by a nephrologist as chronic renal failure. Pavanasyurdhvagamitvam tadachardi aruji jwaraha hridroga grahani mutrasanga pravahikaha badhirya Chalakya subjects, timira, shwasa, shiroruk. Lots of shiroruk case will be diagnosed as migraine. There will be nothing to do with migraine. A specialist tends to diagnose all cases of headaches as migraine if it is left undiagnosed otherwise. So shiroruk, kasa, pinasaha. Penasam can be a product of malarodha. Sagridaha pindigodveshtaha pradishyaya shirorujaha. Pradishyayam shiroruk. Malarodha causes these symptoms. Chiruvilluadi could be the remedy. Don't go for Pathyaksha-Dhatriyadi. Don't go for anti-allergic drug for managing chronic rhinitis. Chiruvilluadi could be the best answer. So a big spectrum. Manovikaraha, Trishna, Asrapitta, Gulma, Udaradayaha. All these are presentations of Udavartam, and if it is Kabhavada predominant, that is another point. If it is Kabhavada predominant, dosha is Kabhavada. With the drugs what we have explained, it is very obvious. It is Kabhavada Shamanam. So the Arshas should be Kabhavada predominant, Shushka Arshas. All the allied features should be Kabhavada predominant. Pradishyayam, Shiroruk, all should be Kabhavada predominant. So Chiruvilluvadi Kashayam is, in a nutshell, Kabhavadaharam, Anulomanam, Agnideepanam. But it is Pittavardhagam. Because of its capacity to do Pittavardhanam, it is beneficial in many other conditions related with the Raja Pravritti in Stri. Narim Pittalaihi Samupachared, you should remember. Pittalaihi Samupachared. So, Chiruvilluvadi Kashayam can be used as a medicine which can increase the fertility status of women. Then, Koshtam, Grahani, Pakwashayam is the specific interested sites of action. Apanavayu is the specific dosha. Udavarta Haranam is the standard operating procedure. It is Agni Deepanam but not Pajanam. So not used in Amam. Samayukta Grahani, it is not the best choice. It is Agni Deepanam but not Amapajanam. This Chiruvilluvadi Kashayam can be added with many other medicines effectively for getting precision. With Abhayarishtam in specific Pakwashegada Rogas. Punarnavas Asavam when it is associated with many Shobha conditions. Even with the Jwara associated with Udavartam. Duralabharishtam. Again it is Arshoharam. With the Dhanyundaram Guliga to enhance the Vadashamana property. With the Hinguvajadi Churnam to focus more specifically on Apana, Samana, Grahani, Pittavardhagatva and this female reproductive tract. Hingutrigunam, when you are treating it with Kadigraham, Vruddhi, that sort of set of symptoms. And also it because of its Pittavardhaga, Hingutrigunam, it is very Tikshna. Hingutrigunam erandam, you can precisely use it in Yoni dosha. With Dhanyundaram Tailam, again in Yoni dosha. With Kshirabala, again in Yoni dosha. Eranda Sugumaram, same. Sugumara Kritam, Dadimadi Kritam. All these things will divert the use of Chiruvilluvadi Kashayam to specific targets in female reproductive system. And also in conditions like Vruddhi, Ashmari, etc. A comparison for Chiruvilluvadi Kashayam can be number 1, Saptasaram Kashayam, Sahasrayogam. Number 2, Gandharva Hastadi Kashayam, again in Sahasrayogam. All are Kabhavada Shamanam, Vadanulomanam, Agni Deepanam. All of them are having specific area as Pakwashe. And another third one is Chitraga Grandhigadi Kashaya, Ashtanga Hridayam Gulma Chikilsa. Very few drugs. So these can be used with the precision almost of the same category, but pinpointing the sites of action will be making the prescription more precise. So these 3 Kashayams we will discuss in the coming up, because I cannot include the very elaborate explanation of all these 3 Kashayas here. So we will take one after the other in the coming sessions. Maybe need not be in the very next, but somewhere later. And we will make a better understanding about Chiruvilluvadi Kashayam as well. So I think we will conclude today's session with this. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm really sorry for the interruption caused.
No problem, no problem. That is fine.